If you're a team lead, you'll want to listen to this episode. New agents or legacy realtors wanting to increase your production, you will also want to listen to this episode. It's basically about how do you set yourself up for success, yourself and your team, up for the momentum and great success that you deserve. Welcome back to In the House podcast. I am your co-host, Toni Singh.
And I'm Jenny Woon.
Today's topic is a fun one. It's Roadmap to Success, 30-day KPIs for new agents. However, before we get into today's episode, we're going to play a little game and we're going to switch it up. And Jenny's going to be my guinea pig.
Oh, boy. What kind of game you have?
Well, it's just actually a bunch of rapid fire questions.
I like how you turn your laptop around. Like I'm going to take a peek at the questions.
Because we want authentic, quick,
okay,
short answers to these questions.
I got my drink ready.
Okay, are you ready? Don't sweat. Don't sweat.
Okay, woof.
5 questions,
All
Jenny.
Right. Yep.
First question. What is the first thing you would do if you won the lottery?
Oh my gosh.
Quick answers. No, I'm just kidding.
I would, I would quit what I'm doing.
You would?
I absolutely would.
No way.
1,000% I would. But the people that I am, like that's on payroll,
yeah, I
would give them something. Like I would get a portion to, like a small portion of my winnings.
Okay,
and
that's very nice.
Just to be a little bit of a goodbye gift.
Like, sorry, I'm closing
up
shop.
And I'm so sorry to give you such short notice, but I'm going. I'm leaving.
I love that. Okay, that is exciting.
And that hopefully they'll forgive me for that.
Of course they would. You're a forgivable, lovable person. Okay, question number 2. I think I know the answer to this, but I want to test my skills.
All right.
What's the phone app you use the most?
Probably my calendar.
Oh, okay.
WhatsApp and my calendar.
I said don't say TikTok.
Oh, no.
No.
My social media, no.
Social media, okay.
Not on it as much.
Okay. What was your favorite age growing up?
Okay, for some reason, I was like 23, like for a few years. So I convinced myself I was 23.
Aren't you still?
I'm 25, but yeah, 20. I want to say 23, maybe because
why?
It probably, like I was new to the city, not new to the city, but it was that point where I finished school and starting my career and kind of exploring like who I've become. So that was a really fun
It's exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, I like that.
I could still get away with things, and I didn't have to take life too seriously yet, but kind of serious,
I wonder if we asked all of the amazing people we know this question, if they would say around 23 as well.
Who knows? I mean,
that was a good time for me too. Before I had kids.
I love this question.
Okay. What is one job you would never do? It's a hard one.
Chef.
Really? Oh yeah, you don't cook.
Yeah.
She doesn't cook. She's got many talents, guys, but she does not cook.
So I had a bagel in the freezer and I put the bagel, I was like, I couldn't cut through it because it was frozen. So then I was talking to my friend at the same time on the phone. She's like, I said, I don't have a toaster. What do I do? What do I do? I don't know what to do with this frozen bagel because I wanted to eat it. And she's like, okay, put it into the oven. But I didn't show her what I was doing. I wasn't on FaceTime. So I put the whole thing in the oven. And then it burnt because I forgot about it because I tend to forget things that are on the stove or in the oven. So I burnt the bagel and then, I'm just really bad at cooking.
That's so funny.
And
okay, one job you would never do. Not a chef.
I just wouldn't enjoy it.
And the last question is, what is the one thing that annoys you about our industry the most?
Okay, so, I'm big on like woman empowerment and
no, really? Yeah.
and working really hard.
Yes.
That with being a leader, of being a thought leader, using our intelligence as like the higher power, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it really irks me when there are posts, like carousel posts, when women are objectifying themselves on the first post, and it has nothing to do with the property. Like, there's like very minimal house or kitchen in the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second photo is
Of the
the
house.
house, and then they start proceeding in the caption to talk about the price and the property details, the specs. And I'm like, I don't know if your client, maybe certain clients, but I don't know if your client would appreciate that you're sitting on their bar stool with your coochie hanging out.
So you know what? We're going to do another fun segue for a second.
Okay.
It's related to what you're saying. You know Deb,
Yes.
Coach Deb, she basically told me the other day in a funny way that I need to stop dressing like an old lady. And the reason this came, so it's the but I'm going to tell you why.
Okay.
I love sweaters. I love being fully covered.
Okay.
Love it. It's because when I started in real estate younger, I was in my earlier 20s as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was young, and I didn't want to give off the wrong impression. So I compensated by always wearing like older people stuff and fake glasses at one point and a wedding ring, because I hated being hit on. It was the worst.
Mm-hmm.
So that people would take me seriously in real estate.
Right.
And I guess my style has never changed. So apparently, but it's funny and related to your topic there.
How did that come up? Like, where did this, like the dress attire come?
She said, Toni, are you going to the medallion dinner? I said, no, Deb, I'm not going to the medallion dinner. She said, you should go to the medallion dinner. And then she was like, and if you go, what are you going to wear?
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the conversation about my old lady clothes started.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So for today's episode, our topic is Roadmap to Success, 30-day KPIs for new agents. And before we get into what specifically this is, if you've never heard of KPIs, if you're a team lead, you'll want to listen to this episode. New agents or legacy realtors wanting to increase your production, you will also want to listen to this episode. It's basically about how do you set yourself up for success, yourself and your team up for the momentum and great success that you deserve. So let's get into it.
Alrighty. So there are certain things that you and your team can do to fast track them to doing more deals. And meet the goals. So first of all, outline your goals. Right?
Yeah,
that's the most simplest thing you could do is outlining your goals. What are your personal goals? What are your performance goals or your productivity goals? And how do you get to the bigger picture? So I love this quote from Steve Jobs. You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards. So you just have to trust that the dots will somehow connect in the future.
That's a beautiful quote.
Right? It's so it pertains to this topic because if you're going to want to do 50 transactions in the year, okay, well, how does that look like?
Yes.
How does that formula look like? So there's this breakdown that I actually have, this worksheet where it talks about how many calls you're going to make for the day, what's your goal on getting the appointments for the day, then how do you convert that into actually signing an agreement, so on and so on and so on. So this is, honestly, this real estate game that we're in is all a formula. There is no magic to it.
There are a lot of different formulas, yes.
One of the formulas.
And we're talking about one today.
One of the formulas here is meeting your numbers.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it works. It is probably the most basic, the most traditional planning you can do.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. And when we talk about, so let's make this more real for our listeners. When we talk about things like, success or higher profitability or more production, what exactly are we talking about here? So the reason why we had said that this is a great episode for team leads or new agents, let's say, for example, is because this is the roadmap. How are your new agents or legacy agents supposed to know if they're hitting certain targets? They can only know by what Jenny said if you have got the goal out there and if you're creating a key performance indicator, KPI, for your team. That basically lays out the expectations. So what exactly is a key performance indicator? It's a quantifiable measure of performance over time for a specific objective. They're beneficial because they can provide targets for teams to shoot for, milestones to gauge your process and efficiency, and insights to help the people within your organization make better decisions and choices.
Right. And so what you want to do is keep tracking it by weekly. You could track it quarterly and track it annually. And so when you continue to look back in the previous year's previous quarter, you're able to adjust quickly with your system so that you can have favorable outcomes.
Absolutely.
To constantly improve.
Yeah, improve. And also you can duplicate previous wins, right?
Yes.
For success. So that's why we love it. And that's the topic for today. It was actually Anoop that gave me this idea because I gave her my team's 30, 60, and 90-day KPIs for everything that she needed to do in order to complete, have her first sale. So she ended up doing 2. In the first, it's actually
Two
supposed
deals.
to be, but it's supposed to be at the end of the 90 days because people have different learning curves.
Right.
This works. But before we go into an example of what some of those items can be for your roadmap, we should talk about really quickly different personality styles and how they can relate to perception of performance.
Oh, absolutely. The reason why is because, first of all, as a team lead, you want to know what will motivate that particular individual. So examples of using DISC or Gallup or, these personality testing will allow you to understand what will motivate them, what lights the fire
for sure
under them, right?
And sometimes people want to be able to check off, they want to be able to follow a proven system, right? So it's like, okay, it's so overwhelming, all of these things that I need to learn and be great at right now in order to produce and sell real estate. Are there specific things that I can focus on? And if so, I don't want to just be focusing on one area, because I think we can agree that real estate is actually very holistic in the way that you have to pull from a diverse region of areas in order to have amazing success.
And holistic in terms of also understanding how someone communicates too.
Correct.
Because you want to really be able to tap into them emotionally. You want to be able to tap into them what the internal and external motivations that will get them going. Because if one person learns a certain way, maybe they're more of a stats, they want something structured versus somebody who, like, I'm an Aquarius. I don't, structure is a little bit, I need it to be flexible, so you want to be able to speak the language of the person that you are leading. I think that's, and then also knowing how to pull the talent together in a team setting.
Yeah, say more about that.
Totally. So if you have maybe too many people of the same, like maybe work style or lacking that particular work style, you may not be able to pull that, maybe like the ideal group of talent together. And if you look at it in any sports game or any, basketball game, football game, or soccer game, everybody has a certain strength or role. Maybe they're better kicking with their right foot. Others are better kicking with their left feet.
And that's what creates the team, right?
Some are more left brain and some are more right brain.
Yeah. So basically, to sum up everything we've just said, to keep us on track, the KPIs can help with team communication, motivation, and skills. You can have better leverage from an inner team perspective, and also for where maybe you would need to add to your team. You can produce replicatable results and also adjust for even better outcomes in the future for where your roadmap is going within your team. And it just creates something nice for proven systems. Okay, so we're going to give an example today of a 30-day KPI. This is actually what I use for my team for a new agent, which will guarantee them the ability to have at least one sale.
This is exactly what you do step by step, right?
Well, I don't do it. I've
Okay,
made
sorry.
this for
You're
them
the team
and they
lead.
have to
Yes,
do it.
you're the team lead, and this is what you have put together, this plan
Yeah.
for them. Okay.
So the first part, if you're already a licensed realtor, but you're newer and you know the systems that we use, you don't need to focus here. But this was made basically with the assumption in mind, like what happens if it was somebody brand new? What are they supposed to do?
Okay.
So systems, what kind of technology do we use in our everyday life for negotiating and selling homes that they would need to know how to use? And the timeline for this is within the first 2 to 3 weeks, right? They need to be dialed in on all of these things that we use. Most common ones. Go ahead, Jenny.
Obviously MLS searches. So you're on.
But they don't know how to use
Paragon.
that if you're brand new.
Oh, okay. So, well, I mean, that's a whole different topic though. Like, are you even getting into KPIs even before?
Well, they need to be familiar with the system. So MLS searches, drafting contracts, we use web forms and clauses, right? Familiarization there. Email setup and signature, voicemail, signing documents. We use DocuSign or AuthentiSign are the most common ones. And what CRM and how to basically log it properly into your phone or contacts so that it pushes automatically. So it's just like the back end systems have an idea of what we're going to be using, and then we get into the actual skills. So the first one that a lot of us, we've talked about this before on the podcast.
The first one is setting up your calendar. So to me, again, we're going to talk about this constantly.
Yeah, I know.
Is okay, putting in your personal time. I think that's
Absolutely.
really good. It's like when you wake up, you're going to do your meditation, you're going to do your walk, you're going to have your coffee. Maybe you're going to check your emails for the first 10 minutes. What are the most important ones that you're going to return and respond to? First thing in the morning, got to do your income-driven activities.
That's right. And if you're a newer realtor and you're like, oh my gosh, I have 7 full days this week. How do I structure my days? This is the perfect place to start, right? Because you might feel as though, like, have you noticed this come up with any of your agents? Brand new. It's like, are you working all the time? How are you getting business?
No, I'm finding that they're working 2 hours a day.
So exactly. They need the calendar to block out different things.
Do you have a calendar that you recommend, or like just Google, or is there a time block calendar that's all set up by the half an hour?
So this is a good question. I think it has to work for the individual. I use Google Calendars because we're always adding appointments in, so we need it in real time, and we have to see it everywhere. I like Google Calendars myself just because you can link it and sync it with different programs.
Okay.
But the main things to focus on for the schedule are your morning routine, lunchtime routine, and afternoon routine, right? So that could look completely different for agent A versus agent B, given the fact that they're scheduling their personal time first and their day off goes in the calendar first before any of these things are surrounded by it. But the focus on morning routine, lunchtime routine, and afternoon routine really helps because then you can get a variety of different things done, which we're going to go into for the KPIs. But it's just basically setting the time off so that you have it so that you can work.
There's also the Trellos, Asanas.
Yeah, exactly.
Monday.com that will also.
You like Monday.com, right?
We use
that
Monday.com,
before?
but not for time blocking.
Not
it's
for
more
time
for
blocking.
tracking our activities for certain things. Yeah.
Okay. So we've talked about SMART goals on this podcast before. What's an example of a SMART goal?
Well, if you were to ask me what SMART actually means, it's specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Time
That's
measure
right.
that you're able to measure the time.
Correct.
So once you define like all of the 5 parameters, then you're able to start attaining your goals.
Yeah. And I guess the goals can be anything: desired income, in relation to health, the number of deals, sure, that you want to do for the year, what you want to learn even, or is there a new hobby that you would like to pick up? Maybe it's to play the guitar, but all of these things for being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound are important motivators in relation to each of these. We need a fair mix from personal and business life, I think, as well. But it's nice to add the flexibility and personability onto the team through additional goals that are not only related to work.
Okay, so then once again, working backwards, you monetize or you outline what does it look like for the year.
Okay, so the next really important thing, it's we've talked about this many times, setting your calendar, time blocking, and also having 3 SMART goals for the year.
Okay, 3 SMART goals.
3
Well,
SMART
first of all,
goals.
what does SMART mean? What does it stand for?
A goal that is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. And we often, with our team, for the SMART goals, will want them to integrate something personal as well in addition to business. Because why are we doing all this at the end of the day, right? We need to be improving on all levels. And it's a great motivating factor for the team to be aware of each other's SMART goals. It's like, oh, hey, did you learn how to play that guitar like you said you were going to by the end of the year? That kind of stuff.
Right. And so when you are outlining and writing down your goals and the desired outcome, the chances of it happening is more likely than just visualizing it.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Okay.
And for a lot of agents, do you ever find that, maybe they've never created SMART goals before, especially in relation to, okay, you've got the goal, but then how do you to achieve that? What time blocks do you need in your calendar in order to support it?
Right. So building it into your day-to-day practice, in whether that looks like in a Google Doc, whether that looks like an online software, on a workflow chart, it will allow you to, I guess, avoid the distractions of not knowing what to do as soon as you wake up. So most often people think that working 2 hours a day, like
in real estate when you're new,
from 2 to 4 on a Saturday. No, that wasn't a full work day, guys. Full work day means you are door knocking right before, maybe even
if
the
you're
day
going
before,
door knocking,
to let people know, that let the neighbors know that you're holding an open house. You are making sure that your social media you're posting your social media that you're holding an open house and you're inviting people through. Are you going to pick up the coffees and the donuts to set everything up when people come through? Do you have the right swags all set up?
So how many hours would that actually be? And it's not 2 hours, because that doesn't even include just the proper setup with the signs.
Exactly.
That's a full day.
And have you put the signs in the right spots where people are going to see where to turn?
Yeah. So these are important things for sure. A next item that's really important for new realtors, and sometimes I guess legacy realtors if they haven't sold a certain product before, is the product knowledge. So imagine you're a new realtor. It's been a long time for us, but imagine you're new. When I first started in real estate, I had thought, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to sell this house when I don't really know how to price it properly? Okay, so on the KPI for product knowledge, it's previewing properties in a desired area of work for, I don't know, at least 2 hours every week. Because only by viewing these homes and seeing what's out there right now for product with the current pricing can you start to learn how to price property, right? It's kind of like putting your boots on, rolling your socks up, getting out there and getting dirty.
So what that means is when you're previewing properties, it could mean agent tours. It could be attending open houses, even though you may not have a client at that time. It could mean you're contacting the agent for a private appointment.
There's tons of stuff we can do.
I'm sure if the property is sitting, that I'm sure an agent would be happy to show you.
Yeah, there's also in general for general product knowledge. There's that course at the board. I think they still offer it, but product knowledge is a good course.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What else? What other things make a successful agent?
There's got to be a system in place for you to make contacts. When you're so lead gen, prospecting, role play, and practice on the follow-ups as well. So when you're consistently following up with your database, and whether that looks like an email, a custom email, a video, a voice text, a pop by, you're making those daily contacts with your connections, and they may not necessarily be the ones that are going to be giving you the business because they're not ready to buy or sell, but maybe they know someone, 2 or 3 people that are ready to sell. So you're just making contact and you're just letting them know that you're available for referrals and you're available for service.
Absolutely. So really, guys, the point of this, you can create any KPI that you want for your team. Really, it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be any of these. There's actually more. And there's a 30, 60, 90-day one that talks about due diligence and everything too. Like what kinds of things, due diligence and due diligence and negotiations. But really, this is what kind of foundation do you want to be setting your team up for? Or if you're a new agent, like, do you even know how to do most of these things? Maybe not. Maybe that's why you're listening to this episode.
And that's cool. This is
Yeah,
for
it's totally
anyone
cool.
who wants to improve on their systems, right? So tell me what a Noop's goal was for her to set her goals, like to set up herself for success.
So this is actually what I noticed is that when we were looking at doing her business plan for her first full year in real estate, this is why these KPIs are so green. It has like the systems and everything in it, right? Because it was made for her basically, which is replicatable for any brand new agent. But
How many calls did she make
24 was her goal.
per?
24 contacts Monday to Friday.
Okay.
And an interesting thing happens is that we say 24. If you haven't done it before, 24 contacts daily, and you don't have a huge sphere, it takes the whole day to make those contacts. It can take the whole day to make those contacts. So you are working full days. And
so contacts means phone calls out or actual conversations, because it could be different. You could be making
conversations about real estate
phone calls,
only.
but not having
No,
conversations.
conversations about real estate is how we
24
count it.
conversations every day from Monday to Thursday.
Yeah. And so she was doing it in a variety of different ways. We integrated other things into her KPIs. Some of them had to do with networking, right? Because not everybody's going to want to door knock like I did. So how do you access the people? Well, if you want to expand your network, one of them was networking. So I had her register for 2 events in the area that she wanted to work in. She also loves female empowerment. So I'm like, well, choose, like, look, they have these Eventbrite events. There's 2. You could go nearby and go. And then she listened to the networking episode that we did, which was maximizing your relationships with people. So there was that. There was door knocking, and there was cold calls integrated into as well, and then also touch points with her COI. So it wasn't coming from one place, but the overall contact goal for the 24 was met. And it's funny because all of these things really work together, right? We had to adjust. So you'll notice too, like if your team is doing the KPIs that are relevant for your team and how you want to set them up for success, sometimes what can happen is, sure, you're making 24 contacts a day, and now you have a deal, and you're nursing the deal. So how important is it going to be to get the 24 contacts done? So we realized quickly, for the things that she wants to create for her life, that the 24 isn't always going to be obtainable, right? So if you've got a couple deals on the go, maybe it's going to be 15 that day.
Right.
And then it's a commitment. Are we committed to the 24 contacts? If yes, and you're doing 15 contacts on 2 days rather than 24, that's the difference between 30 and 48.
Right.
That's 18.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
So then you have to add in a day on the weekend.
Okay.
Or you scale the goal back, which is also acceptable, but it's more so about finding the balance. So if you follow the roadmap that's set out here, 100%, if you follow it, you'll have a deal your first month and a half for sure. But if you don't, it doesn't mean that you're a lesser agent. Everyone has different learning curves. So that's why the KPIs are set out for 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days, which we're not talking about today. But the main takeaway, if we were to give you one at all, is it's important for a team to know where they're going and to have replicatable results or something that can just take anxiety and fear out of the unknown, right? It's like, well, am I going to make that goal? So if you have the roadmap and you know that it's proven and you know that it works, it just takes that whole other element out. But what kinds of things do you do for your team? Because I know your team operates a little bit differently.
We do. Yeah, we're at this point where there's a bit of more of a referral system now. So a lot of our business is past business and business from circles of their clients.
Mm-hmm.
So more than anything, we're sending out our email blasts, we're sending out thank you cards, we're sending out our printed newsletters,
Mm-hmm.
and consistently ensuring that we're tapped into like our existing database.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so profitable because you've already worked with those people
Right,
before.
exactly. So it's just much easier and more cost effective to kind of keep those clients.
Mm-hmm. You're nurturing
Them.
triple A's.
And even after the sale post, we send like a survey post sale right after just to get a little bit of feedback from them. And then they get a gift card for filling that out.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that consistent exposure that we're not done here. Our relationship doesn't end.
Of course, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then how does it work then, just out of curiosity, with the team? So if you're dealing with past clients, do you assign them to each team member or can anybody jump in? Do you know what I mean? Like, so let's say I was on your team and then I was dealing with one of your past clients and I sold them a house. And then there's a system where I'm following up with them. Like they're taken through that specific system, which is essentially like a KPI, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then what happens after? Who's responsible for following up? Is it anybody on the team or would it be me or would it be you?
Yeah. So the follow-up would be on the onus of the agent.
Okay, great.
So,
the agent who handled the sale, right?
Because they have the relationship. Yeah. I would say the follow-ups as a group, we would do client events once a year, for example. So they can invite their clients. They can also invite, their partners and partners so that they can kind of develop this like personal relationship too. It's not just the transaction.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, so it might feel like we're segueing, but we're not, because this is still a perfect example of KPIs that work for Jenny's team, which is referral-based system.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, with your team protocols and things, just out of curiosity for workflows and things, is everybody on one CRM? Like I'm assuming that it's one CRM that they each put their information into so you can track everything all together?
Mm-hmm. Yes. We have a CRM. We use MailChimp for eBlast because the CRM we use, it's not the prettiest like eBlast template.
Oh.
So we have to then outsource it to MailChimp, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the CRM itself is connected to our front end website. So there's no choice for us there. So yeah, that's basically, it's on the onus of the agent to do the follow-ups.
And then do you guys do at the end of the year, like, do you calculate statistics at all for performance in terms of sales on the team or not really?
I don't, only because every agent's life cycle, like where they are in their personal life, is so different. So there's one agent, before she joined our team, she was very, very specific on, this is the number of deals that I'm happy with. And I like, if you're looking for somebody that's more, who's looking for more deals, like I'm not your agent.
Good for her.
To me, that was actually absolutely fine because I'm all about designing your life, right?
Yeah.
And so more than anything is that she gets along with us, and she's such a great, like, happy person, optimistic person, just a very positive person in general. And so we had such great dealings with her before she joined our team, and that's why we asked her to join, because we had such a great experience. So that's really important too, is that it's not just the numbers, it's more about collaboration, teamwork, and when we need her, she's available, and when she's not, we're there to back her up.
See, I like that too, because I think that you want to be really careful in a team of creating a feeling of insecurity or problems of worth, right? And if you just focus on the numbers for production, that can create that problem within people.
Absolutely. So what's another way to make sure you're focusing on completing the KPIs?
I'm a lover of a really good book. Like if you give me a good book, I'd rather sit in on the weekend and do that and just read the book. So there's other things in here as well. Like I've noticed that for a lot of new realtors and even myself, mindset is a recurring theme. Like we always have to check the mindset. But the best book that I've found personally, in regards to dealing with this issue, is Psycho-Cybernetics. Have you read that book?
No.
It is a fascinating book. And I promise you that, so that's why it's actually integrated into the 30 days, because literally once you read the book, you can feel as though you can create and do anything you want.
Interesting. So what's the premise?
So
Cybernetics.
I just actually want to
It
see who the
sounds
author
very,
is. Hold on. One sec.
sounds
Keep
very
talking.
techy.
It's not.
It's not, right?
No.
The psycho part actually throws it off a little bit.
It's Maxwell Maltz. Sorry. Yeah. Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. The title doesn't describe what's in the book very well. Basically, it was this doctor who used to do plastic surgery on people. But he realized that these people that were coming to him, and he was completely transforming the way that they look and their facial, and like they could come in one day and then maybe in a few months look completely different. You would not recognize these people. But for some reason, he noticed that with the recurring theme in his patients was that no matter how much work he did on them, they still came back with the same complaints of worthiness and how they weren't happy with their appearance. And so he then thought, well, there has to be something here. Why is it that for all of these 10 patients, let's say, if you put them in a room with people they didn't know, they would think that they're two completely different people from pre-surgery and then post-surgery. But why on the inside are these people that are having the work done still feeling inadequate? They still feel like they look the same as when they first came in. And it's actually a book about mindset and how we view ourselves and what we want to create. And I just found it so fascinating. So I know it's not related to real estate sales, but it is related to
Looking at yourself in the mirror. And what
exactly.
You see.
Like, what is
Interesting.
it? So, yeah. That is one of them as well. I mean, we don't need to go through the entire list. There's other things here too in regards to social media, abundant lives and sales, experience and practice, obviously too, and obviously accountability integrated in. But basically, the roadmap is to take any realtor without any experience and set them up for success so that they can have their first sale. If they follow it 100%, it works.
So just to summarize, okay,
Yeah.
because I think we were kind of
we talked about a
covering
bunch of
lot
things.
So to set yourself up that is going to be quantifiable, that's going to be measurable, and meeting a specific objective is number one, product knowledge. So knowing what you're going to be saying or teaching to your clients, right? Your potential
And
clients. And selling. Also, understanding the role of prospecting. So how does that look like in a day?
Well, it's sales training in general.
And then working with your accountability partner regularly so that they're making sure you're meeting your goals.
Yeah, because I don't know if you've ever found this, but I found that sometimes I might have a goal. And if the goal is a stretch goal, let's say, I might just get tired. And sometimes I'll think, gosh, do I really want to do it? Well, yeah, I could still achieve it. But if you veer off course, it's okay. It depends on how important it is to get back on course to have that goal completely realized, right? So it's mostly, that's why the accountability piece lasts there. And there's been a few times where some of our team members have gotten off track. There's nothing wrong with it. Because maybe off track is on track. Does that make sense? Being off track is actually being on track.
So that means that deals are coming in?
It could. It could also mean that maybe you're meant to focus on something else and revise the original yearly plan.
And to be honest, not everybody is a good agent.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe it just is not the right career for you.
Possible. But yeah, that's not a
You're a
bad thing.
business owner.
Yeah.
There's many times I've said, you're just maybe not a good business owner.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sorry.
true.
I just have to tell the truth.
That's true.
You may just feel like you want safety, so you want a paycheck every 2 weeks, and you want to be told what to do. You're
nothing wrong with it.
Nothing wrong with
but
it.
then
It's
be
just that
aligned.
It's just not aligned with what being a realtor is.
That's right.
Right.
We should actually, yeah. Anyhow, I know that this was a lot, but basically KPIs, everyone, but specific to your team. So if you're looking to design a life and also have the life support, the working as a realtor, your KPIs will look different, and there's no wrong answer. Maybe just look there and see what you want to create for your own team.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, we appreciate your time and always want your feedback. So don't forget, give us a 5-star, subscribe, hit the button on YouTube. And thank you so, so much for tuning in.